I just bought this Amahi ukulele. I just bought this for my youngest daughter. She's about 6 years old, and she has expressed some interest in learning to play a stringed instrument. She wanted to do bass guitar, but I thought, I don't think your fingers are big enough for that. So anyway, we settled on a ukulele, and I went up to the local music store here, and I picked up this Amahi ukulele. A little bit more expensive, like you can get the Mahalo ukuleles. Mahalo is kind of become a brand that's notorious for beginner ukuleles. They're pretty inexpensive and about 35 bucks or so. This Amahi was 45, and my daughter liked this one because she's obsessed with My Little Ponies and Rainbow Dash specifically. So she said, I want the Rainbow Dash ukulele. So this is the one that we got. You know, whatever's going to work for her to get excited about it is what I figured. So I thought I'd just do this review and kind of tell you about this and what I think about this for a beginner. Let's hear what it sounds like first. The strings are still kind of breaking in a little bit. They have to still stretch a little bit. These are, by the way, these are just the strings that came with the ukulele. It came pre-strung in the box. So I thought, you know, I could put new strings on it, which I would probably opt to, but I wanted to show you what it sounds like just with the strings that come on it. So we'll do some chords here. So as you can hear, it's not super loud. It's not a super loud ukulele. We'll do some finger picking here. That's that up. Alright, so that's kind of what it sounds like, just picking some stuff and then strumming some chords. So, as you can see, it, not, like I said, not super loud. The strings on it, they came with it, yeah, you probably want to upgrade those. They're not terrible. They're not the worst I've seen for strings that come on a beginner ukulele. They're okay, but I would upgrade those to some Aquila strings probably. Aquilas tend to be a little bit louder of a string, so that will probably help out with the volume problems. But overall, you know, I've actually been pretty impressed with this for being, you know, a child's ukulele, really a beginner ukulele that's marketed solely at children. Tell you some things about, by the way, it is made in China. If you can see that, made in China, okay. Wood that it's made out of is probably, it doesn't actually tell me. I tried to scour the internet for details on the wood it's made from, and I'm not really able to find much. My guess would be probably, it is wood. My guess would be like a cheaper, like a balsa wood maybe, or something like that. That being said, like obviously for $45, you're not gonna get, there's one of them yelling in the background, that's the one right there. But yeah, for 45 bucks, you're not gonna get anything nice. You know, you're probably not gonna find a mahogany or anything like that. So, you know, you get what you pay for always, of course. But that being said, for a cheaper investment for a kid that is getting into this, 45 bucks isn't bad. You're not going to get great wood, but hey, you know, as far as the build quality goes, I mean, it really does feel very solid. I did notice that when I pulled it out of the box. It doesn't feel flimsy. It doesn't feel like you're going to like. We all know that kids, they tend to abuse their things a little bit more, especially when it comes to instruments, you know. Which, you know, we're working on that. We're working on learning, you know, to put it back and to put it out of harm's way. But that being said, I think that this could survive a fall, you know, from 3 feet or so. I think it would survive that. I even think that it feels solid enough that if a child stepped on it, put it down on the floor and stepped on it, I think it would survive that as well. So it does feel like it's a pretty solid build. The tuning pegs, I've actually been pretty impressed with. I didn't think I would get much for, you know, for $45 tuning pegs. So we have, you know, plastic and metal, of course, is what they're made out of. They're geared tuners, which makes tuning it a little bit easier, especially for a kid. You know, those friction tuners that some ukuleles come with are probably not going to be very kid friendly, but the geared tuners, they seem pretty solid to me. You know, we are working with as you can see here, we are working with just a plastic composite type of bridge and nut You know, I'm not surprised by that. That's kind of what you're going to get in this price range. But overall, you know, like I said, I think there's a lot to like about this for that beginner, for that kid. And I think that with a kid learning to play ukulele, I think that's why, you know, Mahalo and Amahi, if I'm saying that right, I think that's why they do so well, is because they understand who their audience is. They understand, hey, this is for a child that wants to learn. And the bright colors, you know, you see the Mahalos, they come in all shapes and colors. And there's a lot of cool designs that the Amahi one comes in that I think are specifically targeted at kids. And I can see a kid, you know, going, oh, that's cool. That's the one I want to get. So I think that's the whole idea. So whatever helps them to get into it and pick it up, you know, I'm all about. But yeah, as far as the fretboard goes, they are metal. They seem to be metal frets. I don't know what kind of material we're working with here on the actual fretboard. By the feel of it, I'm thinking it's probably just plastic. And again, there's little imperfections, like you can see here. Maybe you can see this. There's a little chip right there. There's a little chip right here on the body itself. But again, for $45, something for a kid to learn on, I think this is pretty solid. I would recommend it. And I want to also say about the action. So the action, if for those of you that don't know, the action is basically how hard you have to press down on the frets in order to actually get the note without buzzing. And the first fret's always going to be the most difficult, because the way the strings go down, they start higher up here and they kind of grade down gradually to the nut. And so a lot of times you'll see on cheaper ukuleles where, because, you know, it's not been set up, so to speak. In other words, the action has not been brought down to a point, because it's, you know, it takes time and to do that. So they don't do that really. But that being said, with it not being a ukulele that's going to come out of the box with any kind of setup, the action actually feels pretty good. It doesn't feel like it's too hard, in other words, to press down the different frets to play chords. It doesn't feel too hard to me. I was actually pretty pleased by that. A lot of the cheaper ones that I've got my hands on, it's been pretty hard, especially for little fingers, you know, pretty hard to press down those notes. So anyway, all things being said, for a beginner, I think it's solid. I think this is a good investment. You know, I haven't played a Mahalo ukulele in a while. Like I said, those are about $10 less. That being said, the ones I played in the past, they've had those kind of flaws with playability. And I think playability is going to be the most important part of teaching a kid to play. In other words, going back to what I said about the action and the setup, if it's too hard for them to press those frets down, it's going to hurt their fingers. Naturally, you are going to have to develop calluses whenever you start to play a stringed instrument. So your fingers will hurt a little bit on the tips, especially in that first month or so that you're getting your kid into that. But again, if it's too hard to do that, they're going to get frustrated. And they're going to be less inclined to keep playing it. So again, that's my experience in the past, 10 years into the past. I don't know what Mahalos look like today, but as far as this Amahi, am I saying that right? I would recommend this. I think this is solid. So anyway, hope that helped you a little bit in your decision-making process if you're buying a ukulele for your kid. And if you have any questions or anything else I can help you with, leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to try to answer anything else.